Here we go. We're going to
Hey,
get the webinar kicked off. Hey, Mason. So we're re-recording this. We tried it and like technology works. It didn't work. And my son was playing video games and my daughter was watching princess movies on Netflix. So we're doing this again. So we might have a couple guys pop in and just check out the webinar. But a few people really wanted the recording. So we're going to go ahead and go over this content again. And it's important stuff talking about management. Mason Tomaino is my special guest, and a little bit about me. I started a carpet cleaning company when I was in college, majoring in advertising. Basically, I just wanted to start a business, and I started it and made more money than I thought I would. Ended up staying in the business of cleaning and started an ad agency 10 years ago called Hitman Advertising. And my special guest, friend, colleague, partner, what else would I call you? All of that. Mason Tomaino is known in the carpet cleaning industry, cleaning restoration industry, as the greatest salesman in the industry by some. Maybe not everybody, but by some. He's worked with some of the big companies, John Donne, Hydromaster, Interlink, and several other multi-million-dollar cleaning and restoration businesses. And he's the founder of Mason's Network, one of the most popular and largest cleaning and restoration Facebook groups online. So to get that out of the way, this is the fourth of the 4-week series. We're talking about management tonight. We are going to put all the recordings for all these up, by the way. So several guys asked about that. So we are going to put all the recordings up for all that. Now, I did want to make, and we didn't even talk about this yet, Mason, but we did want to make an announcement about the contest still being open, but also closing. I'm thinking we should, we talked about ending this within a week. So do you think we should keep it open until next Wednesday, or what? We need to set a date on this.
Yeah, I think we should close it next week.
Yeah.
I think if we close it, it's closed for people entering. It's not that we're going to announce who wins next week.
Right.
Because we have to go through, we have a lot of applications.
Exactly. Yeah. So what we're going to do, so here's the process as well that I forgot to talk about in the Facebook video. We'll probably take the top 3 or 4 people and do a quick phone interview with them just to talk to them and see where they're at and see if they're a good fit. So keep that in mind. The winner is not necessarily going to be announced next week, but the contest will close because we have to get all the videos in. We have to give that a deadline for that to happen. So it's still open. Are we going to leave it open until next Wednesday evening, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, next week. Let's not put a date on it, but we'll keep it open until next week, and then we'll find a day that we're going to close. So everyone should start getting everything ready. Their video, submit it right away. I think most of them done the application, so we need to get the videos in, and it's got to be a 2-part. It's not just filling it out online.
Right. So you got to fill out the form, which we posted on Cleaning Marketing, also on Mason's Network. We'll do that again. We'll also try to put it with this video. But basically, you have to fill out that form and submit a video. And we decided that everybody's going to win some type of award of some sort to help your business. I sort of felt like these guys were taking the time to give us a video. We'll still give all of them something for entry. Why video? We want you to practice making a video. We want you to really, we want to see what you're doing. You know, and the contest is not about the best video. This is not a who has the best video contest. We have to reiterate that. That is not what this is about. So don't fail to enter just simply because you don't feel like you could do a good video. That's not what this is about. We just want to see you. We're also not necessarily looking for the most successful person or the most down and out person. So it shouldn't be a video just about how great you are, but it also shouldn't be a video about how down and out and how horrible your business is. Right? We want to see growth potential. That's really what we're looking for. Somebody that we can really take under our wing and just, do stuff with and really see them grow. That's really what we're looking for. Anything to add to that?
No, you nailed it. We just want to see kind of a personality, come out of your shell a little bit. You don't have to be great at it. We're not looking for fancy. Just we kind of want to know what we're working with, and we're gonna be vested in you for a year, and hopefully you follow through and stay with the program.
Right, exactly. So keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be a great video. We're looking for just your equipment. A minute-long video. Could be a little bit longer, could be a little bit less. We really try to get it to a minute. Your equipment, kind of what you're doing. So in your business and where you're at with your business.
Well, and your equipment. I mean, you could be a VLM guy. You could be A pressure washer.
10 trucks or one truck doesn't
We're being open-minded. It's not, well, you have to have a truck mount by XYZ. No.
Right, exactly. So, okay, so let's talk tonight. The subject is management and systems. And basically, the more you have systemized in your business, you're going to have a smoother run business. And we talked about this for just a minute, before, but basically, I feel like one of the quick ways, and you're going to get into more of the details on this, but one of the quick ways to finding the real profit in your business and finding your cost of business is adding up all of your expenses for a given average month, taking all those expenses and your checkbook, credit cards, whatever, everything you spent, adding them up total, dividing that by the number of clients that you actually cleaned for. And that is your average cost that it costs you to do business for a client, right? Now, granted, that's very basic, simple math. That's not an all-encompassing, figure. It doesn't tell you what your cost is to go out and do a job necessarily, but it's a good something to look at, and it's a good, roundabout figure. So, and that gives you, again, your average cost of the client. But we're going to talk about, Mason, go over really kind of these costs as far as really getting into the nuts and bolts of dividing up your costs.
I think more on the economics classes in college and stuff kind of goes over the way you did it. Kind of a reverse engineering for me is to know what it takes to make a profit. So I come up with all $10. In some areas in Denver, it's more money than Texas for salary. In California, rent on a building's more money. So your math is going to be different, but this is a generic way to look at it. Every time you run your truck mount per hour, it burns a gallons of gas, 1.1 to 1.6. So you just have to know how much you're burning, how much oil changes. So let's just go over a basic summary. If a truck mount costs you $25,000, a loan's $500 a month, you burn around 50 hours a month if you're working full time. So 50 hours a month at $10 is $500. You have $500 a month towards a truck payment. The same with the van. A van's $500 a month. I know some of these vans now are $700 and $800, but a generic way to look at it. And if it is $700 or $800, the math is the same. If you run 70 or 80 hours at $10, you have $800 towards that payment. The way John was doing is actually a better way to do it because you have the depreciation, you have your cost. I would average 14 to 17 jobs a week, $185 each. So you can kind of do the math per truck. But let's just run down this list so you guys understand. We're not saying we know your cost. We're just kind of giving you a template. So $10 an hour is your truck mount cost. $10 per hour is your insurance cost. There's business insurance, auto insurance. It could be workman's comp, could be a whole bunch. $10 an hour for van. And even if you're owner operator, what do they call it? OP, owner operator.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Even if you're owner operator, you should be paid. Right. I shouldn't go and clean for free. So I should make $10 an hour. This is where John is going to be at 17 or 20 an hour in Denver. In Texas, we're probably 11 or 12. $10 an hour for gas. The van costs a gallon of gas to get there, and then it's going to cost you a gallon of gas to work in the job. $10 for marketing. I think this is pretty low. I used to average around 40 to 50 hours a month on my vans. So that would give me $400 or $500 for advertising. That's not a lot of money with pins, business cards. The marketing side of the books is pretty heavy. $10 for chemical. The cost on an average job is only $2 or $3. But you go to a supply house, you never get out for under $300 or $400. So the chemical's going somewhere, or you're buying brass, metal, so chemical and supply. And the $10 an hour for profit should be 20% or 10%, $10 an hour profit, and we should have another line for $10 an hour for overhead. So right. The math is roughly $100 an hour. Do you kind of agree, everyone?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, definitely. And the other thing to keep in mind, too, that we need to maybe reiterate with this is these aren't exactly all $10 an hour for you. Maybe approximate. Probably $10 an hour is just a good guess, and it might be, but it might also be a couple dollars less, a couple dollars more. But this is just something good to go by.
Yeah, and you nailed it. So when I when I've taken classes and stuff like that, they talk about your productivity. So if I could clean 1,000 square feet an hour and I need to make $100 an hour, I need to be at 10 cents, right? So that's $100 an hour. If your productivity and you want to be at 40 cents a square foot, what your productivity rate is at. But this is just a template. We need to know your cost, guys. This is so important. Even if you paid cash for that van and machine, that stuff does break and eventually need to be replaced or repaired. Either way, you have a cost. I've kept vans way too long, rusted out doors, and then I had to go to a weld shop. So you're paying money one way or other, front end tires. So you have to know your cost.
What was your cost to go out and do a minimum job? To clean for a half an hour, what was your cost?
A half an hour, $85. We did a lot of one guy in a truck.
Right.
And our drive times were 15, 20 minutes. We were in Orange County before the traffic. So
wow.
we and then a lot of ours were apartment complexes, so we could do 8 or 10 in the same complex.
Okay. Yeah.
And we owned neighborhoods. We never there was neighborhoods. We had 6 trucks running, so none of my trucks had to drive more than 20 minutes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. A lot of the time we would have 1, sometimes 2. It would depend on, the job and where they were at, what they were doing. But our average cost to go out and do a minimum job was $85 or $87. So you got to keep that in mind.
And it's been a while. I think today your average cost,
a little bit more.
If it's under 100, it's crazy. I think 125 would be my minimum to show up. 120 if I was starting a company today. You?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I would think so. So the other thing to consider is, yes, you got to pay yourself something, and you got to consider that even if you have to, even if you're the guy in the truck. Also, the time considered the person on the phone. Did you have to pay that person? Well, you technically even need to, even if it was your wife, even if it was you somewhere else, that's other time that's involved with that. All of the time you spend at the beginning of the day taking care of maintaining the vehicle, cleaning up the vehicle at the end of the day, all of those are costs that are associated. But yeah, even if you're using a portable, I'd venture to say that your cost is probably $70 to $80.
I disagree. I think your cost is higher because of labor.
Yeah, maybe.
Labor is hard. I mean, you try to find 2 good guys to go out. So I would think even with a portable, the only time I think not is probably VLM.
Right. And even then, I'd still venture to say it's at least 70.
Yeah.
For a minimum job driving across town. So, okay. So are we ready to get into bookkeeping to talk about that a little bit?
I love this part. This is a big part for me. So let's
jump right into bookkeeping. QuickBooks, what do you have to say about that?
Well, there's 2 versions. I know I used a company called Peachtree. It was too complicated. There's Act. There's a whole bunch out there. I'm telling you, if I was going to do it tomorrow, it was QuickBooks Pro. Case
everybody uses it. Yeah.
I would do it online version. The Pro's a little better because you could do more graphs and stuff because it's on your desktop. But I'm about convenience. I have an Apple phone, Apple computers. It's just everyone has the plugs. It's easy. So I would do QuickBooks Pro online. What would you do, John?
Yeah, QuickBooks Pro all day long for sure.
Online or no?
Oh, online. Yeah, absolutely.
Because you could download it now with your bank statements and all and get in. I've heard there is some CRM companies are having issues of downloading into QuickBooks, so then there's double invoices. So then you need a bookkeeper to check it. But anyways, itemize all your services. This is one that we talk about quite a bit. In my company, I can tell you exactly how much we did in red stains, couches, upholstery. We didn't do tile and grout back then, but I would have one for tile and grout and seal. We also labeled our apartment jobs. Instead of carpet cleaning, CC was carpet cleaning, so it would just come up, at the square foot. We used to, I think back then we were 38 cents for residential. But on the apartments, it would come up 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, and then stairs, So our apartments were generic. I could tell you how many stairs we did. I could graph it down to the penny on what we did. And what, if I, for an example, did not do a lot of red stains, I might up the price just because it wouldn't hurt me either way.
Right.
So you just have to know your numbers. Do you agree? Itemize.
Absolutely. And I would definitely itemize out pet odor, Scotch Guard, rug Scotch Guard, carpet Scotch Guard, tile sealer, tile cleaning, all of that. Even
I don't think we can leave this yet. Do we? Air movers.
Air movers. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. If we did a moisture inspection on a water damage job, that was an itemized thing. If we did one air mover, that was an itemized thing. You everything. Exactly.
So I had a good friend, Paul, a good friend of mine. He made each carpet cleaning, a couch, upholstery, Scotch guard into numbers: 18492, 1699. I don't think you need to make it complicated. I like just the initials or the name, carpet. How would you break it down if you were going to bill consulting or red stain? We used to just put red, R-E-D.
Right. Just something
You don't
simple. No, just something simple like that. For Scotch guard or fabric texture, I think it was just FP or whatever. Something
and
easy.
I might even talk to a bookkeeper and set it up the first time to do it just right, so I'm following it. That's, to me, a couple $100 might be worth it. But this stuff's pretty easy anymore.
Yeah,
depends on your budget.
It's not too hard. One of the things that when we're talking about this that's important is filing your taxes on time. I remember my first year, it seemed like every time I turned around, I'd get something in the mail saying, "You owe this tax." Oh crap! And I wasn't expecting it, and that can put some guys out of business. I mean, what if they didn't know and they had an employee and they had to pay workman's comp, and then they got a bill for $8,000 their first year for workman's comp? That could be crippling. So make sure you know about taxes, whether or not workman's comp's even required in your state. I don't know. You got to check with your state. I mean, I can maybe tell you for Florida, but I don't know. So you got to check with your state and see what that is. But two, you need to file quarterly income tax. You need to file workman's comp, unemployment, all of this stuff, whatever state taxes, that you might have, definitely make sure that you're in tune with all that.
So, and there's another thing with taxes. So I just was on another podcast I was listening to and stuff, and they talked about 80% of businesses fail because of cash flow, not billing, not doing that. So taxes and billing and all that goes together. I would do my taxes early. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't file them early, but I did my taxes early, and I would meet up with my CPA around November and December and let him know where I'm at. And then he would be like, "Hey, you need to spend some money, buy a truck."
Right.
So you didn't pay enough quarterly, you're going to get hit with a fine. But if you buy the equipment, so I think file your taxes and see your accountant and your bookkeeper early, because if you buy a $30,000 truck and able to write it off early, maybe that'll save you from owing an extra $5 or $10,000 in taxes.
Maybe, but that was a question today on Mason's Network. Somebody was asking, "Well, geez, everybody's talking about these write-offs. I'm new. Do I need write-offs?" I don't know. Talk to your accountant. It might not benefit you much at all. It might even hurt you to buy equipment. So talk to your accountant and see where you're at. But it might also put you under the next tax bracket. It might save you $5,000 or $8,000 by buying a $2,000 piece of equipment. I don't know.
And you nailed it. We don't know. We're not CPAs. We're not lawyers. We're not giving you that advice. This is just suggestions that worked for us. You do need to see your accountant, CPA, whatever works for that. You want to see that. But the big thing is, I had a guy buying a truck mount on December, starting up a new company. I told him to leave. I said, "You don't need a write-off this year."
Right. Oh, yeah.
I go, "You don't need it." He goes, "I'm starting my company. I want the write-off this year." I go talk to your accountant. I'm pretty sure you can't write off a business that you're going to start the day before with no income. And he went and saw his accountant. He thanked me. So go see your accountant. And maybe John's job, where he's doing his job, maybe his job is a write-off towards his 401k or his retirement or whatever John's doing, right? Or Billy. Right. We don't know. Your accountant will know if you can write off for what and why. We just don't know.
Right. By the way, too, since we do have a few guys joining on that are watching the replay, you guys can ask questions. I know we've been kind of neglecting you a little bit. You guys can still ask questions. Give us feedback. That's, we even appreciate that. It's almost kind of weird that we don't get as much feedback because there's not as many guys because it's an unannounced webinar replay. But
we announced it 38 seconds ago.
38 seconds ago. There we go. So let's talk about equipment maintenance and systems. I'm a huge believer in checklists. Yeah. I love them. I feel like without them, I couldn't have got my employee. Not that my employees always did everything I needed them to do, because I didn't. But I wouldn't have got them to do as much as I got them to do without these checklists. So every single day they had this checklist that they would have to fill out and turn into me in my box or slide under my door or whatever if I was gone. And they, it basically had beginning of the day stuff like make sure that there's enough stuff on the van, make sure the van's clean. They can't pull out of the driveway with a dirty van. So make sure the van's clean. Make sure you have, at least 1 gallon of spot remover of this type, and the red remover and fabric protector and all of this. And then also, can't hardly read what all these are on here, but beginning of the day cleanup, but also too, end of the day cleanup stuff, and then routine tasks. That was something that's supposed to be done on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Things like washing the van thoroughly. Again, they check to make sure that it's not spotted and dirty here and there, because I mean, maybe a bird pooped all over the side of it. Well, they're not going to drive around the next day with that all over the van. Even if they just washed it the day before, they're still going to wash it according to this checklist. But once a week, too, we're checking tire pressure. We're checking the oil on the van. Like every day in the morning, we're checking on the slide ends. We're checking oil on the truck mount, and the blower, or not the blower, but the pump. And then, too, they would sign it and say that, yes, I did all of this stuff. And then it would also say, if you weren't able to do this, don't sign it. Let me know why. Because maybe they were working until 9 o'clock and they did a $2,000 day with 2 guys. That's fine. I don't need you to do all this stuff at that point. That's a good day, right? But I need to know why. Just put $2,000 day. Good, wonderful. And whatever the case may be. But I'm sure you had similar lists like this that you gave your guys.
No, and looking at yours at the bottom, it says hours on the van when you're checking in and out, time you got to work and left. We also had another one that you would do per job with square foot on residential. But at the top, you have daily report, name, and date, and then you could circle Ford or a GMC. I'm assuming you had one of each. We would put van number.
Right.
We started our fleet with van number 12. So we look like a bigger fleet. So there was 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We had 21. So there was different ones, but we only had 8 or 9 vans total in our career. We had 7 at one time. So yeah, we did the same thing. The only thing that we didn't get involved with was the chemical. We were large enough where we had a maintenance guy that would change the oil and stock all the chemical twice a week. Another thing that's really good is we would put like a zip tie on the steering wheel, and that zip tie would tell you, hey, someone took a wand out or something, check everything. Or we would move the keys. We had a lockbox. We'd move the keys. Right. So there's different options you can do, but I like it. We're not saying this is the right template. This worked for John and it worked for me. I guarantee you have to do it.
Yeah, some kind of a checklist.
If I was the owner.
Right.
Because it makes you accountable to check the oil.
Right.
And how much it breaks everything. So I think you need a routine checklist. I agree.
We also had, because what I hated was, even if I had an assistant with me and I was on the job, how many times do they leave stuff on a job? So we had a rule that we had a laminated checklist that was Velcroed that they could take off if they needed to on the dashboard, that had a list of all the equipment that had to check the assistant, if there was an assistant, or the lead technician had to do it. One of the guys had to do it. And if they missed a piece, they had to go back on their own time to get whatever they left. And like bottles of spot remover got left almost all the time. So they had to know how many bottles of spot remover were in the spot kit at that current day. Sometimes it would vary, and they would have to make sure they checked all those spot removers and got them. But quickly they would learn to not leave something if you made them go back on their own time without pay. Legally, can you do that? Again, I don't know. I did it, but I don't know if but anyway. But routine maintenance needs to be done and scheduled. And sometimes too, you hired out maintenance for a lot of stuff too, didn't you?
Yeah. So let's talk about routine maintenance. A mechanic friend of mine, good one, says you either plan on the routine or it'll plan for you. So if you don't maintain it, you're going to have it. Steamway International used to have a great thing. This equipment pays your salary, take care of it. A great sticker. So routine maintenance is important on brakes, oil change, tires. We had a system that worked. We had maintenance books in the office with an extra set of keys. And every time we bought tires, we put it in there. We had a log. So we went into a lot more detail than most, but we had 7 trucks. We had to know what's going on, which van got which. I was buying tires all the time. It's like, I just bought tires for that van. And it was, one of the 7. So you could buy tires, 7 times a year, right? But yeah, routine maintenance is huge. I hired out on my maintenance. I was too busy to do it. So I hired a part-time guy 2 nights a week that would change the oil blower and change the gaskets and the couplers in my shop 2 nights a week. That worked out really well. I also went to, I think it was Midas or Firestone, And I had a national account where they would do the brakes and the oil change on the van. So we just always had a routine, and we did it. And it worked well for us. As a smaller company, when I was an owner operator with a second truck, it was my wife and I running around on the weekends. But we got big enough where the trucks would be dropped off, and it was really cool in Orange County. You would see 6, 7 trucks with the letter flying down the freeway. You know, it was like UPS and Coca-Cola shooting. But I believe you need to hire out maintenance. What's your time worth? I do my own brakes. I have a lift in my shop, and I do my own brakes. I enjoy them, so I do them on a Sunday. But realistically, if some of the stuff's not worth your time, but be aware your time. I've taken a van in to get brakes, and they said 600 or 1,000, and I ended up doing them myself for 80. So judge your time. For me, that 2 hours of $800 was worth me doing it. Right. But I enjoy doing it too, and I got thousands of dollars of tools to mess around. So that you just judge what's important. I would judge it.
It would take me 2 days to change the brakes, so I wouldn't do it myself.
Yeah, I did my daughter's brakes on her Nissan in like 45 minutes, all full. Right. I did kind of enjoy it. You know, I wasn't in a hurry either. I did it on a Sunday, you know. But anyways, John's a great example of that. You don't have a lift, John. You don't have a big toolbox with every tool in there. So is it really worth your time to go and spend that? No. I'm never going to probably get my money back out of all that, but it's something I enjoy. So have a routine maintenance thing. I got to push this with you guys. Brakes and tires do not mess around. Right. You get in a car accident, insurance, or someone gets hurt, they're going to say, when's the last time? I would 110% if I had a company take it to a place like that. Right. Hopefully you find someone you can trust, because they're going to be like, hey, these brakes were thin. When's the last time? It will come back to haunt you.
Right. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about finding those employees and keeping them, not just finding them, because really you need to tend on keeping them when you go to find them. Go ahead.
I nailed I nailed the employees. I had employees that loved me so much. One of them named his son Mason. So he had 9 kids. So I think he ran out of names, you know. But anyways, so what I did good is when I saw my customer, I would be like, hey, we're hiring. They would either refer their kid or a teenager or someone in high school or just get into college. Customer referral was huge for me. We also struck the vine that I found out that when I first started, I could not afford to hire Billy or John or Braden or Gene full time. I didn't have the work. So I hired college kids that only could work part-time. That worked out really well. Or I found another guy who was maybe a bartender or a waitress or waiter at night, and he can help me a couple days. You got to keep your costs down when you start, but you have to start with the employee, and then it's a domino. You'll get more. But customer referrals was my biggest way. College students, like I said, we hired 2, Chris and Gene Jensen. They would schedule their, and let me go back, don't go to Harvard. When Chris and Gene went to a university from a community college, they didn't stay with me. They were spending $30,000, $40,000 a year in college, and they were like, we can't work at $10, $14 an hour, right? So they couldn't work anymore. I hired the community college kids, and then they would, when they graduated and moved up, they would leave me. And that's how I would go. But one student went school Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The other one Tuesday, Thursday. The beauty about having 2 part-time, we had 17 employees and 7 trucks. We did a lot of part-time, and they were beautiful because we always had a fresh back, you know. And a college kid, John, guess what? Hey, I don't have work on Thursday. Oh, that's great. I could take him out, you know.
Right. They don't care.
It worked good.
Right.
I want to talk about Indeed and Craigslist. I think there's so many ways to get employees. I know unemployment is at 2% or 2.8 or 3.1. It's at an all-time low. We can all agree. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to be hard to find employees. Plus the younger generation, they'd rather have a desk job. A lot of jobs are easier where you don't have to physically work. I understand that. But they just did another report that it's a huge number, like 80% of people quit their jobs, or no, 72%. 72% of people quit their jobs because they didn't like management. 22% because of pay. It was all about rewarding your employees and being good with them. But anyways, Indeed, Yeah, I think Indeed's okay. There's another one out there that I wasn't too pleased with, but Craigslist is $20. I have a friend named Sean in Denver that just used it. He's having a horrible time with it. Times are changing. Craigslist worked for me 10 years ago.
Not so much, yeah.
Yeah,
But too, there's different places have different
like
local ones. So look for the local ones, and it might be your newspaper. I don't know. I mean, check. You got to figure it out.
I did churches.
Mhm.
I went to churches and posted it up there, and that was good. But you'll find someone. Trust me. If you find someone, you have to have your systems in place before you find them, or you're just dooming them to.
Right, exactly. Checklists. That's a place to start with systems, checklists, I'm telling you. So keeping employees, what do you do? Here's a few ideas.
You tell me about the post. I tagged your name in. Go for it.
Yeah. I think Microsoft, right?
I've been talking about this for weeks, huh?
Right. Microsoft has decided to offer their employees 4-day work weeks. I guess is it a test, or have they totally rolled with it for sure, like is an ongoing thing?
Yeah, I don't know, but they found
I glanced at the article.
Employees are more productive,
right?
And I interviewed people on this and talked to them. So a friend of mine around 9 months ago, a year ago, in California had a hard time finding employees. So he did the government job, worked 4 days, 3 days off, and now he's 6 employees, applications deep. He has so many employees he doesn't know what to do with. He's like, you guys are going to have to wait. So it works really good that they have more time, fresh back. They work 10-hour days, not salary, they're hourly. So if they do a good job or they get paid that, they're not too worried about their hours, because he said his average employee now is around 35, 37 hours a week. He doesn't care about the 40. He cares about the 3 days off. So it worked really good for Paul. Once again, that's Paul. And he has a glass company in California. So that works good. I really think the 4-day work week, it takes you so long to get dressed, windshield time to get to work, pumped up, you have a lunch, and then all that's productivity. We're taking the lunch out of the equation, the commute out of the equation, and a day of rest. It's beautiful, guys. Anyone who can offer 4-day or 3-day work weeks need to do it. I think 3's too hard, 12-hour days. But I would definitely do 4-day. I might do 3 if it's a night shift or something for something, but I would do 4. I don't like 3. I like 4. Yeah, 401k is big. There's benefits if you offer your employee 401k. It's a huge thing for my young guys at 18, 19, and 20. I know I hired young. I hired a lot of young guys, and they were great. And they would not hire before 18, and they would never take me up on the 401k. Out of 17 employees, I think I had 3 or 4 take me up. And there's benefits with it. So offer benefits, health insurance, 401k. The health insurance is tricky because it's ridiculously priced. What we did, John, is we did, and I don't know if this is legal now, we did this. We went to you and said, how much is your health insurance? And your policy was $60 or $100 a month. We would pay part of that. Your family and stuff, we never gave you any credit. I know some people now do like an $80 or $100, $200 a month credit towards your health insurance. You don't pay the whole health insurance, people. Find a health insurance company that will do a small company, and you offer $100 towards it. Most likely, if your kid's under 25, and I don't know if they live at home or what, but their health insurance might be covered under their parents. Once again, not many. The same 3 or 4. I probably had 1 more take my health insurance, and that was, no one took it. So it didn't cost me anything.
And then paid vacations, obviously. Everybody wants vacation.
Yeah, I would do the paid vacations only a week a year after they've been there a year. That was a big thing for me. What we didn't really talk about on the keep employees is also the payday. I would stop their work week on Sunday and then pay them on Friday. So every other week, if you could cut, I did every week and then switched it because it was cheaper from a payroll company. But what they do now on paid vacations, John, is they give you so many hours.
Right.
So if you get 40 hours a year, they divide that by 52, and that's how many hours you get a week towards it. But I think you're crazy if you don't give a paid vacation. Now you're going to be like, how can I afford this? Raise your rate.
Right.
Go get more work.
And we would give a week.
Or deserves a vacation.
Yeah, you got to be able to afford it, but you got to charge enough. We'd give a week after a year, 2 weeks after 2 years, and then 3 years. And then 5 years, they can only have 1 employee that ever stayed that long. I think getting 3 weeks.
Yeah, in my day, we never gave more than a week.
Right.
Never did, because our employees normally only stayed 2 to 3 years.
Right.
That was college kids and stuff. We didn't keep them. It kept a secretary and operation manager like 7 years, 5 years. But yeah, they normally did it. But yeah, I think if you want to give more vacations in the corporate world where I've worked, after 5 years, you got 3.
Right.
You know, so
Right.
I think if you don't give a vacation, you're crazy.
Yeah, you have to. You got to keep people happy. So here's one of my favorite topics, obviously, marketing. So let's talk about it in the way of systemizing. You know, we talked about marketing a lot. We're not really going to talk a whole lot about marketing specifically, but marketing in the way of getting it systemized. I highly recommend that you write out a marketing plan, ideally in November, like right now. This is the month. Write out that marketing plan for the next year. I think I did mention I haven't had time to put this together yet, but I want to put together a marketing plan and kind of show guys, you know, what is really involved in that plan. I mean, I've put together other plans for like different times a year. So, and I have put out marketing plans before too, but not recently. So I want to do that and just show everybody that. But also too, you want to have reminders about that plan. So you want to use either iCalendar is what I've used a lot lately, but also in the past for some things, Google Calendar. I mean, even just a paper calendar, something written down, maybe an Excel spreadsheet if you need to, and then print that out too if that's good. Any online calendar, any calendar, don't get bogged down with the calendar. Who cares? Whatever you like, put it down. And what's going to be on that calendar? So in a nutshell, you want to be, here's what's going on with me a lot right now. You know what I spent almost all the last couple of days dealing with? Thanksgiving's coming up. So can you guess?
Thanksgiving newsletters and all that.
Newsletters and postcards. And John, I waited to the last second. Can you do an emergency Thanksgiving postcard now? I'm going, yeah, I probably can. You're going to have to pay for a rush order for printing, you know, and the design and all. So it's going to cost them more money. But guess what? Even another couple of days, even with a rush order, we probably couldn't get it done. Right now, we probably could get it done with certain parameters in the rush order. And if it's a 4x6 postcard, it's got to be first class. We can't do bulk mail anymore because that's too late. You know, Thanksgiving's in 2 weeks. You know, so you know, and even then, we're really cutting it close. So a lot of guys aren't thinking about it. I mean, think about, you know, and I warned everybody, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago that everybody waits till, not everybody, but some people wait till the last second. And by the way, if you're watching this video and you're one of those guys, I'm not upset with you. It's okay. I mean, I understand. I mean, heck, I did the same thing in my business, man. I'm not, you know, on occasion. When things get busy, I understand. I get it. But ideally, have that on the calendar. And when Thanksgiving comes around, you need to have that planned like at the beginning of October so that it's ready to roll out at the beginning of November. You can't roll out a newsletter campaign and start the whole thing and get the ball rolling on it on November 6th, right? I mean, you could, but it may not get to your clients by Thanksgiving, right? So plan all of that. When Christmas comes around too, you want to start that. Right now is the time to start planning that Christmas mailer. Get that rocking and rolling. So you have all that in your calendar for spring, for 4th of July, for all the different seasons. Have that on that calendar to remind you. You know, and this is basically a marketing plan that I had, kind of a crude version. You know, this is just a real honest, you know, plan that I had, you know, just in my business that I pulled up and printed out or copied up here for you guys just to see. This was actually for a client, not my business. This is for a client. So, you know, we were really working on how do we get $10,000 a month. And this is what we had lined out for him. He needed to get a phone script going, mailing a postcard to current clients, doing EDDMs, doing $2,500 a month in these specific areas, doing social media, Google AdWords campaign, searching that, looking in the newspaper, maybe not doing it yet, but if he did, test it with a certain small budget, you know, et cetera, getting a referral program set. But this is just a basic crude marketing plan that I did for a client who I did some consultation with, who was, I think, either very new in business and or had not really gotten over that $10,000 a month hurdle yet. And so, you know, he needed some help and some physical, you know, walking through of getting that marketing plan done. And if I remember right, this particular client, you know, that very year he did reached that goal. He never met that goal before, but that very year he actually met that goal as a result of physically writing out that marketing plan. Why do you think it's so important to write out a marketing plan, Mason? Do you?
Oh, you have to. You have to know where you're going. If you don't write it down, it's a conversation. So you got to write it down. You have to have plans. You have to have goals. You have to put this in your calendar. But I got to tell you, this is a brilliant way to go. Our marketing plan was more around the yellow pages and stuff. It was before a lot of the internet. And then with my limousine company, we didn't have one, but I would definitely have one today because there's different times of the year. There's Easter and stuff. It's very important to have a marketing plan and set out and goals. How are you going to short-term, long-term?
Almost the same thing to me, really. A marketing plan is sort of part of the goal structure in my mind. And here's what I even like to try to do, even when I write this out at the top. In fact, I think the next slide I'm going to show you, it basically says this. Basically to get X amount of sales, we need to do these things. And then when you write that down, you're seeing it happen more, right? You're visualizing it, you're having it all laid out, and you're putting a deadline on it, and you're going, if I do these things, I'm going to make this happen. And when I get through writing out what all those things are, my mind, I want to go, yeah, that will happen if I do all these things. And then bang, you're set to go, right? So, getting these things done, even what you need to do specifically for dealing with employees might be in here, not necessarily part of a marketing plan, but as far as your plan, it could be kind of part of your marketing plan. But basically, whatever it needs to be done, and why you're going to achieve what you're going to accomplish by achieving those goals. Let's talk just for a second about budget for marketing. We feel like if you're going to be doing $180,000 in sales, you need to be doing probably $15,000 above $180,000 in sales. If you're an established company, you probably need to be spending at least $1,000 to $1,500 on marketing. If you're not established and you're just brand new, $5,000 a month. And that's assuming a 3-to-1 return. Is that safe to say?
Oh, without a doubt. So, and you have a 1-to-3 ratio. That's why it's 5,000. So if you want to do 15,000, you need to do $5,000 a month. And without a doubt, that's accurate because you're not going to have the referrals. You're going to have some low-hanging fruit at first. It depends on your sales skills and what you're going to go for. But if you're relying on a marketing flyers and brochures, it should be 5. The good news is your 5 should bring in you 15. That's the good news. If you're answering the phone, you got to be on all cylinders when you start.
Right. and not to say that always 5,000 will turn into 15.
No,
that doesn't happen all the time. If your marketing is going pretty well, if you organize things the right way, if you that's really the goal that you need to be looking for, a 5-to-1 return.
And let's look at that real fast. So if that 15,000 per truck is $34.88 a week, divide by 5 days, that's $697 a day. So you divide that by 3 jobs a day, you're $232 a job. So if you're doing an $80 minimum, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. It's going to take you 8 jobs. So I think by knowing those numbers, guys, you have to really understand the $60, $80 ticket's not going to get you where you're at. The $200 tickets, $300 tickets, you're going to have to do upholstery, rugs. You're going to really have to. So to go back on the third line, a $5,000 startup, if you do not know how to do carpet repair, rugs and upholstery, it's going to be very hard for you to get a 3-to-1 ratio. Where you get John here in Florida that could do rugs, his 5,000 might produce 15, 20, 80,000, right? If he gets water damage. So it could go crazy. But a startup company, it might be a 2-to-1. You might be lucky to produce 10,000 off 5 because they schedule them out. They don't all do it the same day. It's branding. So I do think that if I was going to spend money, 1,000 to 15 would be a minimum on a $15,000. Now these guys are out there are very proud that they spend nothing on advertising, and they get so sad when their phone stops ringing. And they're so busy, and they're so proud that we're booked out 3 weeks, and then 4 jobs get canceled, and they don't make their budget. Don't be proud that you're not spending money. Coca-Cola, all these companies are spending money branding everywhere. Chevy, they're there to get in front of you. You got to spend money on advertising.
And the sad thing is, not all. So I don't want to say that all guys that don't spend any money, that spend no money on advertising are this way, but the vast majority that spend no money or very little don't have very big businesses. They're probably not doing $50,000 a month. I mean, again, there are exceptions. I do know some guys that are too at the same time, but most of them.
Yeah, I follow where you're going. And sometimes they got the luck of the Irish, right? They got Disneyland or something like that. But go ahead and go on the keep the stock for the 1 to 2 trucks. I love this part. This is
just so that we have a time check. I know you got to run in just a little bit to take your son to baseball practice. But how much time do you have?
Yeah, I got. I didn't even check, but I got around 15 minutes.
Okay, good. So we're fine. Okay, so yeah, you want to have all this stuff stocked up. Make sure that you've got an inventory of some sort. Don't wait until you've got no invoices left and then go, oh, we got to order invoices. And now you don't have invoices for 2 weeks because it takes 2 weeks to get them in. Or brochures or gift cards. Make sure that you've got all of that stocked up. Make sure that, in a sense, if you've got 1 to 2 trucks, you probably need at least 1,000 brochures, maybe a couple hundred gift cards, maybe 500 gift cards on stock. Pens if you're giving those out, magnets, etc. These are all important things to have.
Goes with chemical too, right? Product.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oil changes, maintenance. You just have to schedule that stuff. But
yeah,
I love the fact that you talked about pins and magnets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Magnets now can go on other refrigerators. You found that out with your new one,
right?
Big on that. Calendars. I just have that stuff stock. I know there's a way to have more stock, like a generic thank you that doesn't date 2019. But you do need stock flyers and brochures, guys, and it just works.
Yeah, you need to keep those up. So let's talk for just a minute or two about networking groups. I know I've got different stories. You've got different stories. BNI, I felt like at the beginning it helped me learn networking. But after I was a member for 6 months or so, it was just sort of redundant, which I always kind of hate. But more than that, it was so I felt like I was being forced to give referrals and they were kind of fake. But 2, I felt like I was wasting a lot of my time and only getting 1 or 2 referrals a week for the big time. And it wasn't the $400. That wasn't the thing that bothered me, or the $10 a week for breakfast or whatever it was. It was the fact that I had to go down and spend 2 or 3 hours of my time every single week and dedicate myself to that. Again, it was good at first for BNI, taught me networking, but after a little bit, I felt like I wasn't getting the amount of jobs. What was your experience?
I didn't like the 400. The 450. I didn't like that part, but I liked the fact that it got me up in the morning. I took the breakfast one, the 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Got me dressed up nice, and then I went and sold.
Right.
So that 450, the $10 breakfast was worth $1 million because I sold, and I produced.
And did you stay in it for the whole year?
I didn't stay that long.
So here's what's funny. You had a problem with the $400, but you didn't stay. See, if I had a problem with $400, I would have made sure I stayed till that last part of that year.
I didn't stay 6 or 9.
But since at the beginning.
I did that. But I did join Rotary, and that was a lot more money. I mean, we paid thousands into Rotaries.
Wow.
Thousands. We built homes for humanitarian, senior homes, low-cost homes. We did a lot for charities and events, fundraisers. It was awesome. It was really good. So I was able to give back. I did meet a lot of bigwigs, and they did give me work. So I made money there, but I didn't do Rotary to network and meet money. I did it to give back, but it ended up benefiting me. I do think you join the chamber. Guys, honestly, Rotary is a community thing that is great, that gives back. They do a lot for people. So if you are a successful business and you can put the time, do it. If you're an owner operator that can't spend one day, do not join these things. You have to schedule that day to make these things work. BNI is really nice because they make you speak in front of everyone.
Right.
Rotary is you're pretty much more on the tables and meet like the elite people and stuff like that of the neighborhood that've been in there 38 years. So it's pretty cool story stuff. But they do a lot. They give back to the community huge. We built parks and all that. Chamber of Commerce, I would join that tomorrow. And I would go see every other chamber and shake their hand and say, hey, I'm in your neighborhood. So
we're brothers.
Out of the chamber than the BNI. What do you think?
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would probably do that because then it's a way in and it's a way to connect yourself. It's to show up and say, hey, we're members. But yeah, when I did BNI too, by the way, I wouldn't just attend the weekly meetings. I would also go and visit that realtor with the gift bags. I'd bring them gift bags, and the carpet retailer and the insurance agent or anybody that was remotely somebody that could kind of refer me people. And I would go and I would see them, not just once, by the way, but every few weeks when I was out and about doing my stuff. I'd stop by and see them. Sometimes I'd stop by and see them. I'd actually sometimes do BNI, and after BNI, since I'm already dressed up and out, I'd go visit my referral sources after that. So I might see them later that morning or that afternoon, whatever, you know. But it taught me networking. So do it, but keep in mind it's a big time commitment. As soon as it feels like it's not getting, you see that it's not getting you what you need, quit it. You know, that's my best advice.
Well, and it depends on your speaking. If you're not a really good speaker and you're shy, a BNI will help you get out of that shell a little bit. It's very good, beneficial. It is a lot of money on that side. On the 10, you just fork them money, and
they'll
call you from that book.
Right.
$1 a year from the chamber, and it costs.
Yeah.
Like, just stay.
Yeah.
Or attended one chamber.
Yeah.
And I was like, next door, this is cool. For me, I could.
So I would go to chamber events, and then guys, realtors. I remember one guy in particular that used me for a while afterwards coming up. Oh, you're the guy. You're the carpet cleaner in the newspaper. That's me. Where do you want some? You need some cleaning done? You know, here's my cards. You know, so that's what was neat. I kind of showed up, and I'm the celebrity at that point. You know, because I'm the carpet cleaner.
How many chamber? None.
In the chamber, there was a couple. There was a few,
really?
But not many. We had
joined just because. But we had. Also back then, we at the top of the list. So we started at the top.
Oh, there you go. So route sheet, you know, in a nutshell, like I mentioned, when I went around, I would actually have a sheet and I would write down all of my BNI people, all of my, but not just BNI, but realtors, everybody that I went out to visit. We don't really have time to talk about phone scripts. I think we're going to do another whole webinar on this. But yes, you need to have phone scripts as part of your marketing plan, as part of your system. And we'll probably do a whole webinar dedicated to this, maybe in a couple weeks. We'll get that done. But the contest, yes. Like we talked about, get a video in. We'll put up the link again, you know. But it's going to be closing. We're gonna announce a closing date. We got to give them a date, but it might be a week, and it might be a week and a day. But sometime next week it'll end. We'll let you guys know which day. I do feel like I need to give them a date though pretty soon because everybody keeps asking me when's the contest going to close. For next week for sure, Friday at the latest, but let's say probably Wednesday, but we don't know yet.
I would think Wednesday. It's
okay. It'll be done by Friday. Friday. Okay, there we go. Everybody get a video in by next week Friday. Everybody's going to win something. I feel like if you're going to take the time to give me even a somewhat decent video, we're going to give you some type of prize. Everybody's not going to get the $10,000 consult prize. That's only one person. But we will have maybe a second prize as well, too, so keep that in mind. But yeah, registration's still open. Get registered. The grand prize, 1 year of personal consultation. Get your video in. Just something showing that it's not the contest about the best video. Just get video in. Show who you are and what you're doing. So any last parting words, Mason?
We need to do like ours.
I know.
But
right.
There's a big McDonald's, and it costs $1 million. McDonald's, it's a brand new, and all that stuff is they at 3 years repair. Now they have a cycle, different times in that. So you just got to understand your brochures, your flyers. Just because you bought 1,000 of them and you've had them around for so long and they start turning yellow or dusty, just throw them out and get new ones. You got to have systems in place. And we're going to cover the script, but I got to tell you, John did the script the other day with a client that we're coaching together, and just his script on the guarantee. I didn't hear anything else but his guarantee. I was like, wow, you sold me on a script. I can't believe this. I did scripts when I was 14 years old. So, and I had my own script for my own company. And also we have to know what the guys are doing, the system. So I'm just telling you guys, this works. I could not have had a 17 employees, 7 trucks work this. Later, I had 10 limousines. I couldn't have that system without it. You have to have books, folders, write it down. This stuff's work. John and I are very into this. We're so passionate that we still want to have a cleaning truck out there because this stuff is so cool and exciting. But you guys have to really take it serious and make the time. If you don't make the time, it's going to doom you. I just tell you, you're going to have to do it.
Yep. Get the systems done. Marketing systems, management systems. Get them done. Get them set.
Do you think the Army has systems?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You went to college. Yeah, I mean,
right.
High school. There were systems in high school, college, and then also you went and worked at hotels.
Right, Marriott Hotel. Yep.
When to clock in, when to take lunch, when, right? The maid had to keep rooms at a certain time and deliveries. Guys, everyone has it.
Yep.
Don't think you're going to remember it. Get a calendar. I got to thank you guys for giving your times for John and I. This is exciting. The scholarship that we're going to offer is really cool. I want to see it grow. You know, I saw a picture, a meme that the dad was planting a tree. I'll send it to you, a text. Guy's planting a tree with his son, and he's like, one day you'll appreciate this, son. And then later the son's pushing his daughter, looks up in heaven, and he goes, thank you, Dad. You know, this is what you're doing. You're growing something for your employees, for your friends, for your customers. You know, your customers want systems too. They forget when's the last time they cleaned. It's not that they don't afford it or don't want it. They just, I think I just did that, you know?
Right. And you got to remind
your car for your oil change. That's how I know how to change my oil.
Right. And that's part of the system, that oil change company has that system to send you that postcard. Get that done. Yeah. Thanks, Liz Benson. Appreciate you hopping on, man. So yeah, there we go. All right. The recording will be up, and get those videos in. Let's, we want to pick one guy who we feel is going to be a good fit, that everybody will win some type of prize that will be beneficial and help your business. If you register and put in a video, there we go. Come on, guys. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Guys, have a good night.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.